or good afternoon rather. It is Monday, January 27th. This is a City Council special study session, and we are here today to interview candidates. So we'll go around the room, and Lucas, right?
Yes.
Why don't you sit up there, and would you like something to drink?
Sure, yeah.
I'll tell you what, we can grab something for you, whatever you'd like.
Regular or bubbly water or?
I'll take bubbly water.
Okay. Raspberry or lemon?
Raspberry.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, and then, well, welcome, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for
And
having me.
thanks for your interest in the Sustainability Commission. And we'll just go around the room and introduce ourselves, and then we've got a few questions for you. It's not stump the band time or anything like that, but welcome. So, Sarissa.
And then Lucas, if you want to put the
yeah.
little microphone to your shirt.
Lucas isn't old enough to know
Know
what
what
Stop the
Stump the
Band
Band
is.
Yeah,
That-
Brad.
That's all right. Well, it's okay. It's okay.
I'll say just a couple of things about the Sustainability Commission interviews before we get started.
Yeah, please do.
Remember, we're interviewing young adult positions, and Ellen had a conflict tonight, but she still is interested in serving on the commission, so we'll discuss next steps and seeing if we can get her appointed still.
Very
So I
good.
know she's crossed off. She just won't be here tonight, but we'll still keep her in consideration.
Thanks, Sarissa.
And then I'm Sarissa Falk, Senior Management Coordinator.
And I'm Julie Wishnak. I'm the Community Development Director, and I'm helping the council tonight because everyone else is sick.
She's the acting
So
city
now you gotta
manager.
keep it
She's the
together,
acting
Julie.
city manager.
I'm helping the council. That's it.
I'm Patsy Foster Walton, Ward 1.
Kimberly Wilburn at large.
Rebecca Shack, Ward 2.
And I'm Brad Worsom, the mayor.
Kizzy Coakley, Ward 4.
Paula Remaley, Ward 3. I'm Deb Calvert, I'm at large.
Sweet.
So, anyway, well, welcome. And we just have a few questions for you. And I think just for simplicity, I'll ask the questions, but you can direct your comments to all of us. And I think we'll have time for you to ask any questions that you may have as well. So,
Okay.
Let's see, I have to look at the sheet here. First of all, the question is just, please tell us about yourself and what makes you the right person for this young adult. Is this a young adult position? Young adult position,
So yeah, I am at Minnetonka High School currently. I'm a senior. I've always kind of been really into sustainability and how we can improve our sustainability, especially. And it's really great to, I really want to help in somewhere around here in our area, and somewhere that I have grown up in my whole life and lived in my whole life. And yeah, and so I'm currently in the Vantage program as a member of Global Sustainability, which is environmental science mixed with economics, where we have kind of talked about things like that. And that's actually how I found out about this is, I don't remember their names, but a city planner or something of that nature came in and talked to us and mentioned this.
Drew.
Yeah. And I thought it would be a great opportunity. I've also been a part of multitude of different clubs and extracurriculars at the high school, including the mountain bike team. So when we were putting mountain bike trails in Lone Lake, I was here at the council meeting for that. As well as I'm a part of StudGov, student government, as well. And then I've also been a part of a couple other clubs, such as a service club called Earth Club, which is essentially just trying to improve sustainability around the school, as well as doing service projects like a clothing swap and things of that nature. Yeah.
great. Well, thank you. The second question we've got is, the city emphasizes diversity, equity, and inclusion in our body of work. How can the Sustainability Commission include diversity, equity, and inclusion in their work?
So yeah, I think that the biggest part about that is representation. I think that everybody needs to have a say in it, no matter what way of life or group of people you come from. I think it's very important that everybody has a say, and we need to recognize that all those ideas are not going to agree with each other, but everybody still needs to feel that they're heard. And so I think the biggest thing is possibly taking surveys and things like that of the groups and yeah, just representing everybody and of course, every group is going to find different things more meaningful or more important than others, and just recognizing that for every single group is very important, and finding middle points in every disagreement or argument rather than picking one side or the other. Finding a middle point is much better than, again, just either flat out disagreeing or agreeing with one or another group. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Based on what you know about the commission, what do you think will be an individual challenge for you as the commission does its work, but then also a challenge for the group? So your challenge and then the broader challenge for the group.
Yeah, so I think a big challenge for me will be that I am very much on the nature side of things. I'm very outdoorsy, and so I'm all for like protecting the environment, but I haven't had much experience with the government side of things. And so, of course, with everything, there's always going to be trade-offs, and so I think that hearing and understanding the government side, I don't have much experience in. I'm excited to get that experience because, of course, that's a big part of it too. We can't just say save the environment over and over. We actually need to do it, but of course, that comes with things that are going to be traded off as well. And I would really just like to see the experience from the government side of how things work in that system, as well as like how they balance certain parts of the just everything. Yeah.
Great, good. And then how about for the group? What do you think will be challenging for the Sustainability Commission as a group?
And then I think for the group, I think it's also a benefit is that there will be hopefully diverse and different ideas. And like I said, I think that those are very important to all be brought up and all be talked about. But of course, that can lead to disagreement and conflict. And so I'm hoping that we can resolve all of these conflicts with a middle area instead of just flat out saying no to anybody, if that makes sense. So yeah.
It does. So, the time went quickly. We've got some time.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Do you have any questions about us or any things that you're curious about that maybe we could help you with? And if we don't know the answer, we will tell you we don't know the answer.
I think one of the only questions I have is time commitment. I just kind of not didn't understand, but it wasn't really laid out like the, what will be expected of me.
Right.
So I was just kind of questioning that a little bit.
And I'm going to turn to Julie because you oversee the staff for the Sustainability Commission. So, number of meetings and other activities that the Sustainability Commission does.
Okay. So we have 6 meetings that are pre-scheduled, so you know the dates ahead of time every year. And they're usually, it depends on the subject matter, it can be an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. It depends on the night and what issue they're tackling. On the off months, meaning every other month, they are a group that often will go to farmers markets. They will do outreach at different events of the city. You'll see them at various parts of the city hanging out, trying to inspire people about different sustainability issues. So there we have like a sign up, not that you have to go to everyone. We try to, spread it out amongst the commissioners so that you don't get burned out. So hopefully that meets with what you were expecting.
And the meetings are via Zoom, right?
No.
Or WebEx?
They are live.
Oh, they are live.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we had done just a roundtable like this one time last year, but otherwise they're all filmed live at the city council chambers. So.
And then, what evening of the week do the regular meetings typically take place on?
Right now, they're Tuesday nights.
Okay.
Yeah, and they start at 6 o'clock.
Perfect.
So figure 6 to 8 on every other Tuesday night, and then
Every other month.
every other
Yeah.
month. Excuse me, I misspoke. Every other month, and then the other activities are not necessarily scheduled in that time frame, so they're more ad hoc, and you can sign up for those
Of course.
as the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, great. Any other questions for us?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, well, good.
Thank you, guys.
Well,
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks
thanks
for
very much for
coming.
coming in, and thanks for your enthusiasm, and good to see you.
Nice to meet you all as well.
Nice to meet you.
Take care. Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you, guys.
And Mary, you'll follow up with any
Yes.
candidates? Yep. The mayor will call.
Adorable. Put them out.
Someone will call.
Someone will call.
You'll get a call.
Someone will contact you.
Yes.
That youthful enthusiasm.
All right.
So we're
Well,
gonna
now
have a
listen, you know,
little
it's all,
hiatus.
we're all here, and, you know, the city attorney isn't here, so, you know, here's an opportunity, never mind.
Oh, no, don't do this to me, no.
No, I'm just
When
teasing, I
Corinne's
didn't
not
mean that, I
here,
know
let's
that was
talk about
recorded, I'm
things.
just
Let's
kidding.
talk about
Yeah,
I'm joking aside.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, excellent.
Little
Welcome, yeah,
study
you get
session
to,
humor.
you get to be the person in the middle. Right.
Microphone, so just flip it to your shirt.
Sounds good. Good evening.
Nice guy.
Good evening.
Hello.
Want a water?
No, thank you though.
All
Flip
right,
it.
well, welcome.
Thank you very much. Mayor?
So we'll introduce, we'll just start at my left with Sarissa. We'll introduce ourselves, and then we've got a handful of questions, and then I think we'll probably have some time if you have any questions too. Hopefully we can get to those as well, so.
That sounds good. Do I need to do anything here?
No, as long as
if
it's
on
plugged, you're good.
green, and if you're plugged in,
I'm
you
mic'd.
you should be good.
Great.
I'm Sarissa Falk, Senior Management Coordinator.
And I'm Julie Wishnak. I think we've met before.
did, yes.
I can't
Yep.
remember where.
Amani Construction's
There we
project.
go. That's why.
Yep, yep.
You're just not on your Zoom box, so.
Yeah.
Tonight, I'm the acting city manager, but normally I'm the community development
Mhm.
director, as you
Great.
know.
Good to see you again.
Good to see
I
you.
know Scott, he's my neighbor.
Yeah.
Patsy.
Oh, is he?
Foster.
Excellent.
Yeah, he lives across the street.
All right.
Yeah.
Kimberly Wilburn at large.
Rebecca Shack, Ward 2.
Good evening, I'm Brad Worsom, the mayor.
Kizzy Coakley, Ward 4.
Paula Vermaile, Ward 3.
Hi.
Deb Calvert, City Council at large.
All right.
Great.
I've already been chided for using the term stump the band. So our questions will not stump the band tonight,
All right.
but we've got 4 questions, and we'll run you through those, and then I think we'll have time for you to ask us any questions that you have as well. So first of all, very general question. Please tell us about yourself and what in your background makes you the right person for a position on the E EDAC.
Great, thank you. Well, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to interview for this position tonight. My name is Scott Anderson. I live walking distance in the Minnetonka Mills neighborhood with my wife and 2 children, elementary school age, attend Glen Lake Elementary. I serve on the board of directors of the Glen Lake Mighty Mites Baseball Association, coach through that league as well, and also coach basketball through the Minnetonka Youth Rec League. This is an amazing, special community, and really proud to be a resident here and lucky. I just see joining the EDAC as the next step in my community service. My background is in community development and includes affordable multifamily real estate development, commercial brokerage, asset management, and real estate lending. I have experience with the use of low-income housing tax credits, new markets tax credits, tax increment financing, and various public and private funding sources that often make up the capital stacks for housing and economic development projects. In my current role as Director of Community Lending and Development at Land Bank Twin Cities, I work with a wide variety of nonprofit and for-profit developers to create and preserve affordable housing and community development projects across the 7-county Twin Cities metro region. And I'd like to bring this experience to the EDAC to serve this wonderful community and advise the ADA as they seek to meet, which is all of you, to meet the city's housing and economic development goals.
Very good. Very good. In the areas of redevelopment, finance, housing, or transportation, what opportunities do you see the EDAC exploring in the coming years?
Recent economic development trends in suburban cities, as many of you know, include a growing focus on mixed-use development, increased emphasis on walkability and transit-oriented development, a rise in remote work-based businesses, and a shift towards attracting more diverse industries. And the city of Minnetonka, I know, has been experiencing these trends and will continue to respond as the market shifts. Another important issue I want to highlight is the existing supply of naturally occurring affordable housing, or NOAH, in the Twin Cities region is facing significant pressures as many owners are holding properties that are aging needing significant capital improvements, and operating costs of holding these properties has significantly increased. I know the city has recently encountered this issue and I think it will continue to be one that will present in the coming years. I happen to be a member of a small working group led by former Minnesota Housing Commissioner Mary Tingerthal that's studying a structured finance solution to recapitalize thousands of existing affordable multifamily units owned by nonprofits of the Twin Cities. And if this solution is implemented, and the solution is using pooled 501c3 revenue bond financing to preserve the units. If it's implemented, it would create a new model for long-term preservation of affordable multifamily properties. And on the production side, Bridge Housing, which is a leading nonprofit developer on the West Coast, is one of the few nonprofit housing developers with a credit rating, recently issued these 501c3 bonds privately for a $71.5 million new affordable development project. It just kind of shows that there's a market for new alternative kind of creative financing solutions outside of the typical financing tools that we have. And I think this will be a trend that will continue as so many developers are seeking ways to create new housing supply.
Mhm. Very good. So, as you likely know, the city emphasizes diversity, equity, and inclusion in our body of work. How do you think that this effort with DEI intersects with the work of the EDAC?
It's a really important issue. It starts with city leadership and the leadership of the EDAC. I believe that any organization, body of government, or advisory commission will not operate at its full potential if the makeup of the group is homogeneous, whether that's political, demographic, cultural, socioeconomic. And so I believe the more diverse the EDAC is in this regard will enhance the value and equity it provides to the EDA and the community.
Great. Thank you. Our last question for you is, based on your understanding of the EDAC, what do you think will be an individual challenge for you? And then extending it, what do you think will be a challenge for the group?
Great. I think my biggest initial challenge will be develop a working relationship with the council or EDA and understand their policy goals and motivations. The EDAC advises the council/EDA, and I think proper guidance starts with listening and gaining understanding. I've read through as much as available online and the 2040 comp plan and all of that, but I think the stories and the perspectives of the council is something that will be a first task for me. And I think the biggest challenge for the EDA as a group is just to stay on top of economic development trends and innovative solutions, like I mentioned earlier, and communicate that effectively to the EDA so that our community is positioned really well in the long term.
All right. Well, thank you. Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask of us? We'll do our best.
Yeah, I think the villages, as they're referred to, that kind of uniquely make up the city. Not having a downtown, a core downtown, is a kind of another unique challenge that we have, as opposed to Hopkins Main Street, really clear downtown. Where is the kind of the fulcrum of the city that you see? I mean, I know Ridgedale area is that economic kind of engine that provides a lot of revenue for the city, but where do you? What I'm asking is, where do you see a kind of opportunity in greater development in those village areas that are kind of up and coming?
So, does anyone want to tackle that one? I'm happy to take a shot, but I could really turn to Ms. Wishnack.
I'm sure.
I would love to hear your answer, Mayor.
Yeah.
Well, you know, go ahead.
Well, I mean,
ahead.
you know, Opus isn't a village area, but
Mhm.
that's going to be the transit-oriented development.
Station.
I mean, it has been.
Mhm.
We've so much is going on there, and I think once the light rail comes, you know, there'll be even more, because now that we've started to build the housing and sort of transitioning from office or industrial to housing, then I think things like retail and, you know, the business integration will eventually start happening more throughout that, you know, 1 mile area. And, you know, thinking about the other villages, you know, Glen Lake has really experienced a lot, and it's almost, in some ways, I think people feel like it's maxed out, but it's been so revitalized. I'm not sure what would happen there, but, and then thinking about, like, 101 and Minnetonka Boulevard, I think there's a lot I could see happening,
with
and
that.
also at 101 and Highway 7.
Yeah.
You know, things are sort of changing in that general area. We've had a little redevelopment with senior a nursing home, and there have been some really interesting proposals that were this close to being perfect there. Some of the land is really hard to develop and meet like our sustainability goals, but you know, there's a lot of area. I think 101 and Highway 7, there's a lot of opportunity in that
I
general
agree.
vicinity. Yeah.
Agreed.
I think,
Go ahead.
you know, Ridgeville and Opus are the low-hanging fruit. That's where we've seen the most development, and probably, you know, relatively speaking, the least resistance. I think the challenge for me as a council member is, you know, where can we integrate smaller pockets of development throughout the city, and are there some natural nexus points? And we've talked a lot about that. I think the rezoning work we're going to be doing, or the rewriting, not rezoning, rewriting of our zoning code, and the next comp plan, which is upon us,
Right.
will be that'll be a challenge in that process.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, I would say, like, everything.
Dr. Wilburn?
Everything everyone mentioned. The only other thing I can think of is that there's potential along the 394 corridor. There's, and
Agreed.
we need to have a
Yeah, more
conversation
space,
sometime.
yeah.
There's buildings
Pockets.
near me that are almost empty, and I'm like, what? What's going on with that? But anyway, so yeah.
And I agree. I think that, I mean, I think our village center approach has been successful. I appreciate it, and I didn't always love it. I mean, you know, I jokingly tell Mayor Hanlon that, well, you know, when we finally annex Hopkins, that gets them a little excited. But in reality, I think we have successfully seen development in these various areas, and there's clearly improvements that are needed. I mean, you know, 7 and 101 has tons of potential, but 7 and 101 is also in the top 10 most dangerous intersections in the state.
As we've seen
And so
recently,
we need improvements to Highway 7. We are working on that, but that's 10 years away. But it's those sorts of things. But as I look at what happened in Glen Lake, I see that potential happening elsewhere. And then, as you said, I mean, Ridgedale is the economic driver of retail and commerce in Minnetonka, and we're fortunate that we have you know, a vital shopping mall. But that's happened through no small effort, both by the city and as well as the property owners there. But you know, we're very fortunate too, because we're surrounded by Plymouth and Wayzata and St. Louis Park. I mean, we're kind of a go-to destination, and we're a pretty wealthy relative area, and that gives our community a lot of opportunity. Whereas, you know, there are other places that have, you know, properties that are just as well situated, but they don't have the wealth and the disposable income that exists in this area that makes, I think, 494 and 394 so attractive for businesses. And I look at the comparisons of our community with other cities, other large cities, and we employ more people than some of the larger suburbs around us. There's a lot of opportunity here, and really, I think that's what we're looking to the EDAC for. Is okay, how do we optimize the many benefits we've got?
Yep. And a last kind of comment, well, I spoke a lot about my experience in affordable housing and economic development projects, which I think could be valuable to the EDAC. I don't, not shy to say that, market rate housing, just more supply of housing in general can have positive impacts on just increase in
both.
supply. So I started working in real estate development, working for a small developer named Devin George, who played in the NBA and retired and got into real estate development, and we did both market rate and affordable projects, and so see the value is the point in all of the above related to housing.
All right, Sarissa, how are we doing on time? Probably should move on. Well, thank you very much for being
Thank you.
here.
Appreciate
And,
it.
Appreciate your
Good
comments.
to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Go enjoy the warmth. How have you been, Kizzy?
I've been going pretty good there. How about yourself?
Pretty good, although it's been a challenging month, but yeah, we're doing well.
Yeah, it's like January 45th.
I know.
Well, yeah, it does feel that way. Good evening, welcome.
Would you give her some water? Ma'am,
Okay.
would you like some water?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay.
All right, well, welcome, and thank you, and it's Marguerite?
Marguerite.
Okay, well, welcome. So, we'll go around the room and introduce ourselves, and then we've got 4 questions for you, and I think you've seen those, so, we'll just start with, Sarissa.
Sarissa Falk, Senior Management Coordinator.
I'm a little hard of hearing, so I have problems in these big big rooms.
Should we move closer just to have a little bit better projection of our voices?
No, I didn't think, I've got a device, I didn't
Oh,
think to
okay.
bring it, but,
All right.
okay. You can move
Sarissa
or
Falk,
table.
Senior Management Coordinator.
Uh-huh,
I am Julie Wishnock. I'm the Community Development Director.
okay.
Tonight's role, I'm Acting City Manager.
I'm Patsy Foster Bolton, Ward 1.
Mm-hmm,
Kimberly Wilbert at large.
mm-hmm,
I'm Rebecca Shack, Ward 2.
thank you,
Brad Wiersum, the mayor.
thank you,
Kizzy Coakley, Ward 4.
thank you,
Paula Renali, Ward 3.
thank you,
Deb Calvert, excuse me, City Council at Large.
thank you.
All right, well, we'll take you through our questions, and as time allows, we may have opportunity for you to ask a question or two. And if we need to speak up, let us know.
Okay, it's, sorry, I just tend to talk on, so I need to.
Oh, okay.
I need to discipline myself.
I can't imagine anybody having that
We
problem.
don't have that problem here.
So the first question is, please tell us about yourself and what in your background makes you the right person for this position.
Okay, thanks. I tried to limit myself to the rule of 3.
Well, good.
I've really always had a lifelong interest in economic development. This dates back to when I was a little kid. I must have been a little nutty, but thank God there wasn't SimCity back then. And so basically where my interests have lied, and this is over really the last 40 to 50 years, it's, the whole issue of the intersection really between economic development and all sorts of other factors. Infrastructure, housing, public safety, physical, the whole physical element, whole issues of fairness, how all these things are managed, particularly at the local and regional level. In terms of academics, went back east. I grew up in Edina, graduated from Edina High School. Back when Edina was a really interesting area where, you had your 1,200 square foot ranch houses, you had your big houses, and I'm really a recipient of that. Had an excellent education, and that's one thing that I think really characterizes and I think is so valuable within this part of the country. In terms of the backgrounds, I grew up in a neighborhood where all the ladies, worked in the school lunchroom, and we all went away to Ivy League schools. And one of the things my friends and I all talk about is how many of the places we live in and grew up in don't exist that way anymore. And really, trying to preserve that sense of what, we valued. It's partly perhaps why I was so interested in it even as a small kid, because you see that right in front of you. So when I went back east, I actually took an economics background, but I took a lot of work in city planning and architecture because it was there and it was fantastic. And that was just auditing things. I lived across the street from the School of Architecture, so I used to go in and sit in the, all of the, they had a nice library. I used to go in there and sit and listen in on all the courses. And, why didn't I do that when I got out of school? Couldn't afford to, basically. I'm not trying to give a sob story here. My life has, been very easy and very good. But, people make choices. And one of the things, but I did go into I went to work on Wall Street. But it was interesting. I always tried to work in housing finance. And interestingly, I did a lot of work in consumer finance. I went to work for Sears Roebuck for a while. And that was, in many ways, was the only place you ever got credit. So we did a lot of work on credit, which also housing, the whole issue of how to finance housing. We worked on manufactured housing projects. We had tax credits. I've seen the gamut. I've seen ultra high net worth houses. What are you going to do with Pacific Palisades? All of the implications of that and the, on the infrastructure, local communities and within housing. What happens when you have long established communities like Altadena destroyed where people who live there cannot go back? The whole issue is, in city planning where you have, again, I'm sorry getting off way on tangents. But, in New York City, you grew up there, the thing called the Irish Riviera. It was out in Coney Island and the beach. It's where all the firemen and city employees lived. And they lived on the water. When that came in a hurricane, that's all gone. I've worked on projects down in Florida. These are all market rate, actually, of providing housing for people who had great mobile homes right on the waterfront in Florida. The Midwest retirees down there. What happens when the developers come in? And at least they had the opportunity to try and meet the what was given, the proposal, but somebody had to organize those groups and buy it out. Well, we had a guy who found it and came to us. I worked for an investment bank at the time, and this was way before formal initiatives or anything else. But you always did projects like that, or I always did them because at least I found them interesting. Because, as I said, these were all market rate.
Right.
But anyway, sorry, I'm getting back. So these are sort of the interests I have. What can I bring? I've always sat on city council meetings, various places I've lived. I've lived all over the country, and I think that can give some value too. Cities that are going through what Minnetonka is going through. Arlington, Virginia is a classic example of I think, a bigger city with a smaller infrastructure. City of Mequon in Wisconsin, which was right on the border of the Milwaukee County border. It was sort of very much like the old terms that people use. They probably use it here too. Old Mequon and New Mequon. Old Mequon was predominantly more working class, smaller houses, people on 2-acre lots, limited city services, to everything that's gone in there now is large.
Right.
And expensive. And people want to keep it that way. They want their 5-acre zoning. and they want their infrastructure, and they don't want density. And then, of course, what happens when you have an aging population who suddenly wants assisted living and large apartments? So these are all the factors. And
Okay, I'm going to move you on
sorry,
to the
keep-
next
keep- Move on to
question.
the next question,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, because then we'll finish some of these off.
Right. And so in the areas of redevelopment, finance, housing, or transportation, what opportunities do you see the EDAC exploring in the coming years? What areas would you like
Carry
to-
down from number 1.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to tell you, because this also is number 4. I'm a newcomer, 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, I read stuff, but I don't live it. I don't know it intimately the way I do in some of the other places I've been. What I see as core structure just living here is how to preserve what's good about this place. You have a lot of, at this point, aging housing. How do you keep people from being crowded out of that? You know, I touched on that before. Appropriate housing. Some people, you know, you need apartments. I'm now old enough where I need to live in an apartment at this point. I can't carry groceries up anymore. I need an elevator. I need space because I'm taking care of somebody who's disabled. I need 1 floor. I can't live in a townhouse. I can't live in a single-family house with a, you know, a basement garage. The issues of infrastructure. You know, I lived over in a place where the power went out routinely. If you need the elevator, if you've got somebody who's on medical equipment that is electric powered, you don't like to hear 2 days or a day. You know, police and fire. You got a lot of assisted living facilities being built here. How is that? And I know reading in the various planning notes that is a factor in terms of siting. You know, when you have 300, 400, 600, 1,000 elderly, frail people, what are the evacuation plans? Again, seeing Pacific Palisades, and it's not wheeling people out and putting them in a auditorium. You know, these are people, you know, who need 24-hour, you know, personal care assistance,
Right.
yet are not in a nursing home that is subject to a plan. You know, how does the city of Minnetonka deal with that? And then, of course, all the usual things: infrastructure, transportation, forward-looking. I'm not going to beat a dead, you know,
Right.
use this time. Just please, you know.
Oh, well, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, you shared some of your concerns, and I think that's helpful, because those are the types of issues that the EDAC tackles. And then, as with everything, you have to prioritize, and that's a challenge.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of needs and diverse populations.
Yeah. Number 3.
All right. Yeah, so, thank you.
See number 1 and number 2.
Yeah.
That's right. The city emphasizes diversity, equity, and inclusion in our body of work. And how do you see that effort intersect with the work of the EDAC?
You know, it's a simple rule, but unfortunately, how do you enforce it? You know, their good nature is just, come on, just common sense. Keep your eye on the core mission and be fair. You know, be transparent about what you're doing, be fair, and you follow the law. There is a well-established body of law out there. Be aware of it. Applicable law that we used in Fed speak, which was statute, regulation, internal policy, and guidelines. Then, of course, there's the golden rule and standard ethics. Just treat people right and do it with common sense. In context of official programs, you do that, you have a, you know, bank regulation, which I come out of, is very interesting. There's a whole concept of risk management. You have your mission statement. This is all part of governance. You have your mission statement. From your mission statement, you have core objectives. Don't lose your eye as to what your mission is, which is delivering high-quality services. Subject to various guidelines, constraints, and you incorporate those objectives really almost throughout everything you do. It's in your policies, it's in what you do. You are always mindful of them. And within that, unfortunately, sometimes you need enforcement. You know, very frequently you need some form of audit. You need some form of measurement. Particularly then also within small organizations. You know, it's expensive.
Right.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of bad diversity material out there. I've seen it. And there's a lot of great stuff, too. You know, I retired from the federal government. what we found, you know, there's a lot of really mediocre stuff out there that was really expensive. They were charging, $2,000, $3,000 per person to come to meetings. Fortunately, it was a very well-educated, and very diverse work agency I worked for. So the various councils, they had enough people, just took it over.
All
And
right,
it was
I'm going to
really
move you
well
to the
done.
last question here
Yeah,
if we
sorry,
can.
I'll get to that,
No,
yeah.
that's okay, but I want to be mindful of time. So,
Mhm.
based on your, and I know, I can tell you've done your homework, so based on your understanding of the commission, what do you think will be an individual challenge for you, and then also a challenge for the group?
For me personally, it's just local knowledge. And you just do that by reading, catching up, talking to people, the whole usual factor. I think as I set out, there's stuff I bring as well that, that I've seen, and I've done a lot of site visits and
Yeah.
things. In terms of a group, this is the whole diversity element. My natural inclination is I dig in and read. And I go visit, I go to the seminars, I go to trainings. Some people are incredibly efficient at just talking to people. They know who to talk to, they're accessible, they're approachable, they know who to ask. This is the mix you have on a group. I call them sort of the readers and the doers. I am not a doer, particularly. I just look at the backgrounds of people who are just really, really hands-on. And I have people who come in and say, how do you know all the stuff you do? I said, because I read constantly. I said, then there are the people who just go out and do it and just get it done. And the challenge is having your mix of I think, both. You provide support to the different skill sets and constructing a group that has the personalities and the skill sets that mesh.
Right.
Okay.
All right, well, I think we're getting tight on time, but if you'd like to ask us one question, we'll do our best to answer it for you.
What do you need?
Well, that's a good question. The EDAC is really an important advisory group, and we need diverse experience on that. Diverse people, but diverse backgrounds and subject matter expertise. And based on your comments, I can see where you would provide some subject matter expertise on some of the, on some of the issues that the EDAC faces, housing policy, things like that. So you've got a very interesting background and in a positive way.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
It's
All
a
right.
very high-functioning commission, and I'm the
Yeah.
liaison to that commission.
I'm sorry,
It's-
excuse me?
It's a very high-functioning commission,
I can see that, yeah.
and I'm the liaison to that commission, so I interact with those folks, and it's a very humbling experience because they really do bring subject matter expertise from a variety of different perspectives and professional backgrounds, so.
And that's, as I said, that's what I find now. There's a whole network, and these are all the kids I went to high school with. I've got a friend who's in San Jose. He sits on the planning commission there, so he's always talking about what he's doing. One of the fellows I worked with, sat on the school board in Arlington, outside of Washington, D.C. A friend who's been on the advisory board up in Ottawa, because we're all retired. A
Yeah.
couple of us are disabled. Like, I'm at the point where I can't leave for more than a couple of hours at a time. I'm not flying off to vacation or anything
Right.
else. I got a lot of time that I can.
Well, very good. Well, Marguerite, thanks
Thank
for
you.
making
Okay.
the effort to come in here
Thank you.
and
Thank
see
you.
us, and thank you for
Thank you.
sharing
Thank you.
sharing some of your experience and knowledge with us.
Okay, sure.
Thank
And
you.
feel free if you ever have any ad hoc or whatever else, how it comes out.
All right, well, very good. Well, we'll
Okay, thank you.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for your interest.
And don't forget to unclip your microphone.
That'll get you every time.
walked away with it many times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you won't be the first. Thanks, Sarissa. Well, it got a little warmer outside, so that's good.
actually pretty nice out
It is, yeah.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
forget your
Yeah,
Your
your
phone.
phone and your.
Yeah.
That's right.
We wouldn't keep it.
Yeah, you left your phone a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, last
Here.
year now, but
Oh,
yeah.
here.
A couple years
Nice to
ago, it
meet
seems
you.
like, but
Yes.
yes.
It definitely has some interesting stories to tell, holy cow.
She She's got a lot of interesting stories, a
Lived,
lot of experience.
yeah,
Yeah.
lived several lifetimes, it seems like.
She might have gotten some of the bad.
Yeah, she might have. Thank you for that. You make me feel better, or maybe not, I don't know.
Okay.
But
And it was the 17-year-old that you said it to might have been.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's right.
yeah.
Anybody else, you could have gotten away with it.
Totally.
Good evening.
Good evening, hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well, how about you all?
We're doing well, thank you.
Good, good, happy Monday.
Well, happy Monday to you. Thanks for coming in.
Of course.
Jeannie, do you need water?
Oh, I've got some, thank you.
All right, yeah, stick that on your shirt or your blouse or whatever. And
Oh, yeah.
we will go around and introduce ourselves, and then we've got, I think you've seen the questions.
I have, yeah.
And
May
so
Of course.
Oh,
you're welcome
by all
to
means.
use whatever you want to use.
Okay.
And so we'll
It's
start.
an open book test.
I don't know
It is.
how well I do.
And it's rigorous enough, but not too rigorous. So.
I'm Sarissa Falk, Senior Management Coordinator.
Okay.
And I'm Julie Wishnek, I'm the Community Development Director. For tonight's proceeding, I'm the Acting City Manager.
I'm Patsy Foster Bolton, Ward 1.
Kimberly Wilburn, at large.
Rebecca Shack, Ward 2.
I'm Brad Wilson, the mayor.
Okay.
Kizzy Coakley, Ward 4.
Paula Rameli, Ward 3. Deb Calvert, at large,
What does that large mean?
the whole city. So you have ward council members, and Dr. Wilburn and I represent the whole city.
Oh, I see, that's exciting.
Yeah, so we have
Quite
four
intimidating.
wards, and so, and we have elections every 2 years, but we have 4-year terms, so they're staggered terms.
Oh.
And so the at-large people, the 2 at-large council members and the mayor run in 1 year, in one election cycle. And then the 4 ward council members, which each represent a quarter of the city, run in a cycle 2 years later. So that's how it works, so.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, well, we've got a handful of questions, and we're glad to have you here. So the first question is, please tell us about yourself and what in your background makes you the right person for a position on the EDAC.
Sure. I moved to Minnetonka about 4 years ago, so I'm kind of new to this city. I'm a single mom, educated through a couple of master's degrees. I work at the University of Minnesota in neurosurgery and neuropsych, and perform research on brain mapping and outreach and Parkinson's, all that fun stuff. And in my master's, my focus was on ethics, and so this sort of, and with research there's such a lack of diversity that it's come up at almost every single meeting about, how do we reach out and get more diverse research sets. And so I saw that this was posted and I thought, wow, that's kind of, that aligns well with what I've been thinking about, not necessarily that I know how to fix it, but that I do it for a job to an extent. I'm an undergraduate from the U of M from genetics. Worked in the Bay Area as an engineer, Q clearance, top secret type stuff with genetics and implantable devices, and then kind of missed my family in Minnesota, so I moved back here and did clinical research. Started with monkeys, that was terrifying. So and moved into humans, and that's really my calling. My kiddo's 11; she goes to MCEC. I was laid off a couple of months ago, which is also why this popped up in my head. I thought, oh, I have some time. And during that time, I completed a certificate to start teaching. So now I also teach as a substitute. We started at Clear Springs last week, and got a really clearer view of the challenges that arise. And that was a little sad, actually. But there's hopeful things about it, and so I feel kind of like I have a little bit of a rounded perspective, and think that I could bring ideas to the table about inclusion and diversity, but I'm not necessarily educated in that, and so that was part of the thing that interested me. I like to branch out, so.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, next question. In the areas of redevelopment, finance, housing, or transportation, what opportunities do you see the EDAC exploring in the coming years?
Certainly, there's a lack of affordable housing everywhere. So what does that look like here? That's something that we need to look at the data and find about what kind of spaces. I wouldn't even know how to dig in until seeing what we're working with, but townhouses and apartment buildings and subsidized places for folks to live seem like it might be a priority. At the bottom line of all of the struggles is often finances. Transportation, I mean, that comes back to, wasn't there a light rail coming through Minnetonka some 15 years ago? I'm not sure where that is right now.
Yeah.
Goodness.
2027 is when, knock on wood, so.
Is it? Well, that would help with transportation, certainly.
Mhm.
You'd think. Redevelopment. Do you mean you reusing spaces that are empty right now?
Well, not just that. I mean, Minnetonka is basically a fully developed city.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna get new development, probably have to tear something down and redevelop areas. So that's the challenge, reuse or redevelop and so forth. So those are some of the things that the EDAC gets into.
Okay. Okay.
So any thoughts on that?
I know that in Minneapolis they were thinking about repurposing office buildings, and
Mhm.
certainly there's a lot of single-story office buildings you see that might not be getting much action right now with people sort of working in hybrid. So perhaps that could be something Minnetonka could do.
All right. Very good. Next question we've got for you is, the city emphasizes diversity, equity, and inclusion in our body of work. How does this effort intersect with the work of the EDAC?
There are correlations to folks who are suffering from a lack of funds and socioeconomic status, right?
Mhm.
And so, and then there's also correlation to minority groups. And so your question was, how do they relate, or how would?
Well, how does the emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion intersect with the body of work? How does DEI intersect with the issues that the EDAC will work on? So
Certainly.
housing and redevelopment, the types of issues that you were talking about earlier.
Right. So
Transportation.
yeah, there is a correlation with minorities and those who have less funds and access to transportation and other things like healthcare. And it's really those folks who would primarily need the affordable housing and would benefit from getting their children into better schools. So including diverse folks on the planning side should help to represent the voices that might not otherwise have been there. And including diverse folks on the planning, we include hopefully ideas directly from the community, because hopefully there's a way to be able to do that, I think, yeah.
All right. Good. And then our final question for you is, based on your understanding of the commission, what do you think will be an individual challenge for you, and then what will be a challenge for the group?
For me, I'm noticing in the work that I do with Outreach for Research, it's really connecting with community members. For example, we have at the U connected with Native groups, but it takes 2 to 3 years to really make a solid relationship enough to be able to do work with them. Some groups just require a lot of time and a lot of trust. And so the individual challenge for me would be to figure out how to make those relationships stick and to stick with it. First, who to contact and what community leaders might be helpful, and then to sort of develop materials and places for people to meet, to speak their concerns. And that takes a lot of effort. And finding those people require that they come to you for the most part, or that you get very involved in a lot of community efforts and meetups, health fairs, that kind of thing. So that would be challenging. For the group, oh gosh, there's a lot of people in this group, so I would imagine reaching a consensus is difficult. So how do you manage differing views and finalize something that everybody can agree on? Everybody loses eventually when you agree on something. So I guess that would be a challenge for a large group.
Great. Well, thanks for your comments. I'm kind of looking at the schedule here, and
Yeah.
we're right up against, we're right on time, which is
Good.
not, does not happen very often.
Good.
But thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And you have a very unique background, and wish you well. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for all that you are doing.
Thank you.
Good job on the time.
So far, well, we
We bought ourselves
we
10
bought a
minutes.
little time, yeah, now it's gonna be more challenging for the. Good evening, how are you?
Good. How are all of you?
We're good, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And we've got a few questions for you. We will go around and introduce ourselves quickly, and we got about 10 minutes, so we'll try and use that time effectively. So we'll
Great.
start my far left with Sarissa.
I'm Sarissa Falk, Senior Management Coordinator.
I'm Julie Wishlang, I'm the Community Development Director and also Acting City Manager.
Patsy Foster Bolton, Ward 1.
Kimberly Wilburn, at large.
Rebecca Shack, Ward 2.
I'm Brad Worsom, the mayor.
Kizzy Coakley, Ward 4.
Paula Vermaile, Ward 3. Deb Calvert, I'm at large, and that means I represent the whole city versus being a ward council member.
So we'll get right into it, and I think you've seen the questions.
Yes.
So please tell us about yourself and what in your background makes you the right person for this position.
Yes. First of all, my name is Nicole Jen, and I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to come here today. But I'm a dedicated professional with a strong interest in supporting economic development and community progress. Sorry, and I have notes because I know we
It's
only
okay,
have 10
you don't
minutes.
have to use those.
I spent a decade working in corporate retail at Target Corporation, where I've managed multi-billion-dollar P&Ls and led teams of both new and experienced professionals. I've also led Target Women's Business Council, which is an employee resource group, for a full term of 3 years. I moved to Minnetonka 2.5 years ago when I purchased my townhome, but I've always been strongly integrated in my community, especially through my engagement through Girls on the Run Minnesota, where I served 2 terms on their board. My prior work and volunteer experience has honed my analytical and problem-solving skills, which I believe are critical for success in this role. In particular, my ability to balance strategic thinking with practical implementation makes me a strong candidate. I am deeply motivated by the opportunity to contribute to initiatives like housing programs and transit operations that directly enhance the quality of life for citizens in our city, especially for those in vulnerable populations. My personal interest in fostering equitable community growth aligns closely with the EDAC mission.
Very good. So our next question gets a little bit more detailed. In what areas of redevelopment finance, housing, or transportation, or excuse me, I started that, I'll say that again. In the areas of redevelopment, finance, housing, or transportation, what opportunities do you see the EDAC exploring in the coming years?
Yes, I see significant opportunity in addressing housing affordability through innovative financial models and partnerships, particularly as housing remains a pressing issue in our community at large. Additionally, with the expansion of the light rail and bus transit, I think there's potential to drive economic development around transit hubs, creating, creating multi-use spaces that integrate residential, economic, and green areas. Finally, leveraging state and federal funding programs for redevelopment and infrastructure, improvements could enhance long-term sustainability and economic vitality. I believe that we must design and evaluate public systems like housing and transit from a lens of a broader economic empowerment for more people. It's commissions like EDAC that could support creating better pathways for underserved communities to access social mobility opportunities and support generational well-being.
Great, thank you. Next question. The city emphasizes diversity, equity, and inclusion in our body of work. How does this effort, our DEI effort, intersect with the work of the EDAC?
Yes. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are foundational to effective economic development. In housing, assuring access to affordable housing for all income levels promotes equity within the city. In transit planning, it's essential to prioritize routes and developments that benefit underserved communities to better access resource and employment hubs. From a redevelopment perspective, engaging diverse stakeholders can lead to projects that truly reflect the needs and values of the entire community, creating a sense of belonging. This focus ensures that the city's economic growth benefits everyone equitably, fostering a stronger, more cohesive community. The Commission should evaluate multiple perspectives across diverse communities of stakeholders as part of the decision-making process to uphold DEI.
Very good, thank you, thank you. All right, final question. Based on your understanding of the commission, what do you think will be an individual challenge for you and then a challenge for the group as a whole?
Yes. An individual challenge for me will definitely be navigating the technical complexities of economic language specific to city management and other redevelopment tools. However, I'm confident in my ability to quickly learn and collaborate with experts, as I have managed to do across multiple roles and industries in my professional setting. For the group, a significant challenge is likely to be achieving consensus on prioritizing projects and competing needs, especially if the EDAC has a diversity of opinions that truly represent our community. There should be healthy debate that gives everyone a voice. However, I believe that open dialogue, active listening, and commitment to the city's long-term vision and mission will help us overcome that challenge.
Very good, thank you. So we've got a couple of minutes. If you'd like to ask us a question, you're welcome to do that.
Wow, yes.
But you don't have to, you don't have to. The last person,
Like-
not everyone got a question. Some people were less efficient in their answers than you were, so you got a couple of minutes.
Awesome. I'm really excited about the opportunity to contribute on this committee, and so open to anyone, but what is one of the things that you've been most proud of that you've been able to do for the city?
All right,
I would say significantly meeting our affordable housing goals is one of the things that I've been really proud of. And I mean, I don't know that the city council per se can take all the credit, because we have an amazing staff that does amazing work. And I will say that this particular commission, they are the professionals. They are the professionals they are the professionals. So, you know, I'm the liaison from the council to the EDAC, and it is a very humbling experience because they come with a wealth of professional knowledge about economic development, from all, you know, from construction to like mortgage and lending. I mean, it's a very interesting group of highly skilled professionals. So, but I would say just achieving our affordable housing goals.
and then Kizzy, did you have something you want to say too?
I would just say,
Excuse
just
me.
being on a council for the last 5 years, just seeing the city really evolve around housing and then the diversity, really tackling things around diversity. And we have a DEI, the new pathway homeownership program, and just I've seen the city really tackle it and really do a good job at doing it. And so I'm really looking forward to continuing that work, and just watching what our city done in the last 5 years has just been really awesome. Like, it's been good. So.
Thank you. Anyone else, or we're kind of up against it time-wise, but.
That's good.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thank you so
and,
much for the
thank you for-
opportunity.
Well, and yeah, thanks for coming in. Thank you for your preparation, the time you put into it. So clearly you put some effort in, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too, take care. Yeah, it's scary. Okay, well, get close. Well, I didn't have lunch today, so I want to make sure we get time in. Yeah, that's right. I want to dedicate the appropriate amount of time to. Yeah, that's right.
We're on the home stretch now.
Yeah.
We are.
About making employee interviews this short.
No kidding, no kidding.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hi.
thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a
Well, good to
pleasure.
have you. So is it Rosemary or Rosemarie?
It's Rosemarie.
Rosemary,
Mhm.
very good. Well, so now we're not going to take too much of your time, but we've got
Right.
about 10 minutes worth of questions. I
Sure.
think you've seen the questions.
Yes.
We'll go around and introduce ourselves, and then we'll start right in. So,
All right.
Sarissa,
And don't forget to clip
Oh,
the
yes.
microphone.
thank you.
I'm Sarissa Falk, Senior Management Coordinator.
Okay.
And I'm Julie Wishnock, I'm the Community Development Director, but tonight I'm acting City Manager as well.
Okay, Julie. I'm Patsy Foster Bolton, Ward 1.
Hi, Patsy. I'm Kimberly Wilburn, City Council at Large.
I'm Rebecca Shack, Ward 2.
I'm Brad Weirson, the mayor. Nice to
Yes.
see you.
Kizzy Coakley, Ward 4.
Hi.
Paula Vermaile, I represent Ward 3.
Hello.
I'm Deb Calvert. I'm City Council Member at Large, which means I represent the whole city.
Okay, thank you. Is this on? Is it working?
It is,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
The light's green, so you're on.
Okay.
So it's all good. So, we've got 4 questions for you. So,
Right.
first, please tell us about yourself and what in your background makes you the right person for this position.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank you for the invitation to interview. My personal history, I was born in 1948 and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. In 2021, I made the move to Minnesota to be close to my sons and their families and grandchildren. In the 3 years that I've lived in Minnetonka, the friendly and welcoming residents of this city have helped me feel that this is now my new home. 55 years of employment provided me with opportunities to develop skills in organizational process, human resources, and management. I served on staff committees, parish council, and volunteer boards.
Great. In the areas of redevelopment, finance, housing, or transportation, what opportunities do you see the EDAC exploring in the coming years?
I see them continuing, as they have, in encouraging and supporting the development of a growing housing demand, affordable, available, and safe housing, business development and their success, and addressing the needs of a growing population in Minnetonka. Growth fueled by a diverse population. Diverse in age, ethnicity, economic, and social status will challenge this commission. Attention to the effects of development and redevelopment on ancillary services, public safety, transportation, infrastructure, healthcare, educational services will certainly affect these decisions.
Good. So, the city emphasizes diversity, equity, and inclusion in our body of work. How does this effort, the DEI effort, intersect with the work of the EDAC?
I believe that DEI, diversity, inclusion, and equity efforts are as valid and necessary as any of the above considerations, like public safety, transportation, in development and redevelopment discussions and decisions.
Very good. And then, based on your understanding of the commission, what do you think will be an individual challenge for you, and then more broadly, for a challenge for the group?
Understanding that we're listening to a very large group of people who have needs that are valid on every side. I think the challenge for the commission and me is that we are diligent about being open, respectful, and considerate of the needs of the many voices of our Minnetonka residents.
Very good. Well, you did that very efficiently, and we've got a couple of minutes left. So
Sure.
if you'd like to ask any questions of us, please feel free to do so.
Yes, I would like to just find out maybe a little more about the structure of what goes on with this commission.
All right. Does anyone want to take a
I'll-
stab at that? or-
I'll take a,
Deb, you
sorry,
go to the-
sorry to
you
keep
go.
talking, but I'm the council liaison to the
Okay.
EDAC.
Sure.
And so I'm a non-voting member. I literally liaise and sort of pass information between the two bodies. And I will say it's a very collegial and highly professional.
Wonderful.
That these are people that are highly skilled in their professions and really bring professional expertise
Right.
to the commission on anything ranging from, they come from construction companies, they may be, involved in mortgage and finance and economic development, and it's a very collegial bunch. So I would say, just like any other commission, we get packets that we read, and what they do is they advise us on the economic considerations
Right.
of our development. So,
Right.
for instance, the Planning Commission deals with the land use issues having to do with development, and this commission is just the economics. And so
Yes.
they give us recommendations. Let's say that we have some, housing program. They might give us recommendations on, how much we should set aside in our levy for, our HRA, Housing Redevelopment Authority levy for, a particular housing program. Or, just a big development, there may be tax increment financing, and, they'll help us, work through, does it seem like a good amount, things
Yes.
like that.
Thank you. Thank you. I know that, what little I've been able to learn about what goes into development, and I recognize now in this current atmosphere, so much is being asked about housing.
Right.
And people, I think, tend to be tunnel vision and don't understand everything that goes into how that's managed. And I'd like to think I'm a little bit more educated on it as I've read more about it, but I'm really eager to learn more.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's nice to see you, and it's not too cold outside.
No,
so
it
it's a good night
isn't.
to
You
come
did a
in,
good
so-
job with the weather.
Yeah, we
Yep.
control that.
Planned
That's
it
one of
that
the
way.
things city council members do is,
control.
That's right.
know that.
I don't think we did either, but
No.
anyway, we'll go with it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming in tonight,
you.
Rosemary. All right. Well, I think we know, we've done this enough, we know what we need to do, and thanks, everyone. And Sarissa, when do you want our scoring back?
If you're ready, you can give it to me tonight, or I did say by Friday. And
Okay.
just to recap, we are appointing 2 Sustainability Commission Young Adult positions, and then 2 for EDAC.
Well, I have a pretty good idea who we're gonna do for the
Yes.
Sustainability Commission, but, okay.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, thanks a lot. We're good, thank you very much, Sarissa.
Just